Okay, hello Wahyu. Good morning.
Hello,
And how
Miss.
are you today, Wahyu? I hope you are doing well because today we are going to do something important to you. So today we're going to learn about quadratic equation and quadratic function. So, before we begin, let me ask you a question. Okay, and calm down because I just want to know how about your opinion, how about your experience about the quadratic equation and in application in the real life. So, have you ever thrown a ball into the air and watch it go up and then come back down, Wahyu?
Hmm. Yes, Miss.
Great. So the path of the ball forms a curve called a parabola, which is closely related to quadratic function. And today we will learn about what quadratic equations are, what quadratic functions are, how to solve them, and how they are used in real life. So let's get started. So the first is understanding quadratic equation. So what is quadratic equation? A quadratic equation is a polynomial equation with one variable whose highest power is 2. You can see this definition on the screen. And the standard form is a times x squared plus b times x plus c is equal to 0. And where the variable which is a, b, and c are constant and a cannot be equal to 0. For example, x squared plus 5 times x plus 6 is equal to 0. So this is a quadratic equation because the highest exponent of x is 2.
Hmm. Why cannot be zero?
So good question, Wahyu. So it's because if a if a equals to 0, then x squared terms disappears and the equations become a linear equation. So instead of a quadratic equation. Okay, next we have solving by factoring method. Oh yeah, so in this quadratic equation and function, there are separate method. It's factoring method and substitute method. So the first method is factoring method. So what is so you can see the example from the screen, which is x squared plus 5 times x plus 6 equal to 0. And then we factor it, so it's become x plus 2 times x plus 3 equals to 0. So we look for two numbers that multiply to 6 and add up to 5. So those are 2 and 3. And we can write it like I said before, x plus 2 times x plus 3 equals to 0. And step 2 is solving. So by using the zero product property, one of the factor must be 0 plus 2 equals 0. The it's the value of x, it's become x equals to negative 2, or x plus 3 equals 0, and the value of x, it's become x equal to negative 3.
So, a quadratic equation can have two solutions.
Exactly, Wahyu. So many quadratic equations have two solutions. Okay, next is the quadratic formula. Okay, when factoring is difficult, we can use by the quadratic formula, and the formula is this, and we can read it as x equal negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 a times c, and all divided by 2 times a. So this formula can be used to solve any quadratic equation. Did you understand, Mahyu?
Hmm. Yes, Miss. So this formula always works.
Yes, exactly, Wahyu. So that's why it is one of the most important formula in algebra. Okay, next steps. Okay, let's talk about quadratic function. So what is a quadratic function? A quadratic function is a function that has the form of f x equals a times x squared plus b times a plus c. So for the example, you can see this formula fx equals to x squared. So by building an input and output table, you can see this table on the screen, and we substitute some value which is negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, etc. So by we substitute it, we can get when we grab this point, we get a U-shaped curve called a parabola.
Does every quadratic function from a parabola, miss?
Yes, exactly, Wahyu. Good question anyway. So every quadratic function have a parabolic graph. Okay, next step is the characteristic of graph. So the highest or lowest point of a parabola is called the vertex. So if the coefficient a is positive, the parabola opens upwards. For example, fx equal to x squared. So if the coefficient a is negative, the parabola opens downward. So for example, fx equal to negative x squared. So the coefficient a determines the direction of the parabola. Did you understand it, by the way, Maya?
Yes, miss, I understand.
Okay, good. So next steps is real life application. So a quadratic function have many real life application. So there's a lot application in our daily life. So one example is projectile motion. So when a basketball is thrown into the air, its paths follow a parabola. Quadratic functions are also used in engineering, architecture, satellite dishes, and also lastly in business model. And also there's a lot application, of course, but I can only tell you part of it. So and then the quadratic function are also useful in outside of mathematics, so they can help us in many real world situations. Okay, so next is example by physics motion. So let's solve one example. Imagine you throw a ball upwards and its height is h in meters after t second is modeled by h times t equals to negative t squared plus 6 times t. So the question is, find the height of the ball when t equals to 2 seconds. So the step by step to find the solution is we substitute the value of t, which is 2, into our function, and then we got the h is h unit. So the formula is become minus 2 squared plus 6 times 2, negative 2 squared plus 6 times 2, it's equal to negative 4 plus 12, and it's equal to 8. So therefore of a h is its units.
That means quadratic function can describe motion.
Exactly, Wahyu. So that's one reason why quadratic functions are important in physics. Okay, I think we at the end of our lessons. So before we finish, Wahyu, can you summarize what we have learned today? I will give you time to think about it. So calm down and don't scared to tell what is your opinion. Okay?
Okay, miss. Today we learn the quadratic equation help us find unknown values, while quadratic function help us describe real world situation.
Okay, thank you so much, Wahyu, and also it's excellent summarize. So we have learned that a quadratic equation is a polynomial equation whose highest power is 2, and we also learned how to read quadratic expression, solve quadratic equation, and use the quadratic formula. And then we discuss quadratic function and their graph, which are called parabolas. So finally, we explore some real-life applications such as projectile motion, engineering, and architecture. And lastly, quadratic equation and function are important because they help us understand and model many situations in mathematics in everyday life. So thank you for your attention, Wahyu, and see you in the next lesson. Bye bye, Wahyu.